Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Battletoads for the 8-bit Nintendo. This is a game I've already previously done a long play of, but I figured, hey, I'll revisit the game, do a live Let's Play, live playthrough of it, and we'll just kind of see what happens. It'll give me a chance to really just sit down and explain how things work in this game. And, you know, I might not even beat the game. I might suck horribly, and you guys will see how brutal this game can be, even if you're well practiced at it. So I did actually run through this game on Twitch the other night, but before that I hadn't beaten the game in many months. I spent a lot of time about a year ago trying to practice this game to beat it for the very first time, and I managed to, finally. And then after that I played it again, and again, and again, and again, yada yada yada, and then I stopped playing it. I went to other games, and what I found is that when I came back to it just recently, I was really rusty, and even though a year ago I could just demolish the game from start to finish, when I came back, I was having some trouble. So, we'll see how this goes. Yeah. So let's just let the rest of the intro roll out. Normally I don't do that, but it's freaking Battletoads. It's an awesome game. Battletoads is notoriously difficult. It's definitely a memorizer. It's one of those games where you have to memorize pretty much everything in the game. Otherwise, you're just not going to get anywhere. And memorization is required for success in this game, pretty much. There's no... I don't think there's such a thing as anybody beating Battletoads on their first try just because. It's one of those games, like, it's notoriously difficult. And that's the end of the intro, so let's go ahead and just get right into the game. We're going to skip through all the sort of like text sequences between the levels. So Battletoads is, I believe it's 12 stages long. Some of the stages are actually pretty lengthy, and obviously, like I said already, they're pretty difficult as well. That's a warp zone up there. If you kill those the first two enemies really quickly, that you can activate that warp zone. There's multiple warp zones throughout the course of the game, and we're going to be playing this without warps though. We're going to be going from start to finish. Which is usually how I like to play this game. I like going through all the levels in the game just because a lot of the levels are so unique, and if you use warp zones, you skip a lot of the uniqueness of this game. And there's at least 3 warp zones in the game. There might be a 4th. Somebody commented on my long play that there's a 4th warp zone in the ice cave, but I don't think I've seen that before, so feel free to clarify where that is if you're really familiar with this game. So I haven't really been able to explain anything. I've just been kind of going, but let me kill these guys and I'll try to explain a couple of things. Alright, so he's dead. So Battletoads is, you know, it's kind of like a beat 'em up. I say kind of because probably only about half the game is actually a beat 'em up. The rest is like on-rails sections where you're doing dodging. Either you're riding a speeder bike, you're on a surfboard, you're on a jet plane or something like that, or you're on a bicycle, sort of, kind of. You'll see what I mean towards the end of the game. And then when you're not doing that, it's really dangerous platforming. So there's not a whole lot of like Z-axis moments like this where you're, you know, going left, right, up and down and diagonally, and jumping. It just only a couple times in the game, actually. There's other parts of the game where it's just straight two-dimensional. There's no moving up and down. But when you're in these beat-em-up sections, you've got, you know, free movement, basically. You can jump. Jumping in this game, you can just tap lightly to get a more controlled jump, or you can just hold the button down to do a long jump. You can also dash by double tapping. This is extremely important to know, and you need to be really good at double tapping. If you attack by pressing B, you can do a headbutt, and the headbutt is one of the most useful attacks in the game. You really need to know how to do this well, and time it very well. You can do it so quickly that it doesn't even look like you're dashing, basically. And then you could also pick up weapons. Like the stick is primarily the only weapon in the game, as far as I recall, and it's relatively useful. It's got a little bit of a wind-up, so, you know, you need to be careful about that. And if you do get hit a few times, the stick flies up, lands on the ground. I think if the stick flies up and lands on the ground twice, maybe 3 times, I'm not sure the exact count, but it'll disappear after a certain amount of time. It's kind of like in, you know, other beat-em-ups like Final Fight or something like that. These flies here will replenish your health. You have to be back a certain distance and your tongue comes out. Another important factor in this game for these sections, especially this first level, is you've got this shadow underneath you. And you want to use that shadow to figure out where you are, like, to figure out your positioning. So, like, look at this. I'm jumping off the platform. You can see my shadow appear on the bottom. And I want to line that up with that extra life, because I would like that extra life. So, we look good. See, just like that. Otherwise, it could be difficult to get floating power-ups like that, or floating awards, basically. So this first boss is pretty interesting. You just gotta pick up this ball and toss it back out at him. Of course, you need to be somewhat near the center of the screen, otherwise it just flies off the screen like that. I'm actually making it look a lot harder than it is. It's really, really easy boss. And of course you get some points for doing that. So, as you can probably tell, Battletoads does have a scoring system. Most headbutt attacks will give you, usually, is it 1,000 or 2,000 points for a headbutt? And then the finishing headbutt will give you, it's either 2,000 or 5,000. It depends on the enemy. I guess we're gonna find out. So there is a scoring system in place. If you just do your, basic punches over and over, it's not worth as many points. Good, got an extra life. So this section is really important if you're having a hard time with this game. Even if you're not having a hard time, doing this section right will give you a major buffer to have success at the rest of the game, basically. Oops, and I messed up. So basically, you can just keep juggling those crows, and when you do that, you'll eventually get an extra life, but you also get a lot of points from it as well. And so the points are really important as well. For every 100,000 points you get in this game, you get an extra life. And now we've got a sort of like a sword or knife or machete or whatever you want to call it. Oh, and I messed up that juggle again. Oh, I was too busy focusing on that crow. Oops. If you hold up against, oops. If you hold up against the sides here, you'll sort of like charge into like a battering ram sort of thing. Or a wrecking ball. Wrecking ball is more like what it is. The wrecking ball is extremely important. You'll see I got 2,000 points from that. The flies, unfortunately, don't do anything. If you've got full health, no points, no nothing. I like to try to take out one crow at a time, because the second you take out all of them, the screen starts scrolling down, which makes it harder to try to get those extra lives off of them. Got it. Now, there are ways to sort of like trap... Oh my god, man, I'm doing really bad now. That's horrible. I don't really ever die on this level, by the way, so... I think that's kind of like a bad omen for how the rest of this run's gonna turn out. But there is a way to like sort of like trap the crows and just do lots of rapid hits and get those extra lives really quickly, from what I've seen. But I don't know how to do that. So these like fly traps here, you just kind of want to sit back from a distance. You don't really want to get close to them. It's not worth it. Oh, I missed my extra life. Come on. Normally I have the knife here. I don't usually go through this part with, well, barefooted. Oh, come on, fly. So basically what happened there is I was trying to attack the crow, but because I was so close to the fly, it made me try to grab the fly with my tongue instead of actually attacking the crow. which was bad because I was actually getting relatively close to getting an extra life from that crow. Oh, we got an extra life, and we lost an extra life. But that's the end of that level. So, here's a good example of the different ways you can attack enemies. You can just punch over and over if you want. You'll get some little points. And then your big final attack with your foot is worth 5,000 points. So Battletoads, you actually max out your score if you play it right by the final stage in the game, and thus you get the score maxes out at 999,999, and so for every 100,000 points you get an extra life, meaning you can get 9 extra lives from points alone in this game. So if you want to max out your score, you always want to try to end it with a move that gives you 5,000 points versus 2,000. I think the headbutt only gives you 2,000, but you always do the boot here. Oh, I don't remember how it works, actually. Oh, and I messed up the Super Toad. I call it the Super Toad. There's this little trick you can do where if you dash into the speeder bikes or the surfboards later on in the game, and you jump at like the right frame, basically, you actually fly up off the screen into the air. It's pretty funny. So maybe we can do that with the surfboards. We're gonna have 2 chances at that on the surfboards. So this is the infamous Turbo Tunnel. This is the level that a lot of people probably had nightmares over as kids. What they actually didn't realize is that the game gets a hell of a lot harder than this. And the Turbo Tunnel, to me, is not necessarily hard. Again, this is where the sheer memorization aspect of this game rears its ugly head. Granted, on the Turbo Tunnel, you can see how these walls are like blinking a couple times before they pop up on screen. There are other similar sections to this later on in the game where they don't do that. They just come out and you have to literally memorize the pattern, and it's so much harder compared to the Turbo Tunnel. So the Turbo Tunnel you could probably actually beat on your first try if you just keep an eye out on the walls that are coming ahead and the jumps like that. So the ones on the ground you need to jump over, the ones in the air you need to just fly under. It's always good to, once you see it on the screen, or once you see it blinking, just go ahead and get in position or make your movement. Like, if you've got one that's on the ground, just start jumping before it's even on the screen, because they fly across the screen so much, it's really hard to just react to it. This section right here, we actually have to just jump manually. I like to jump on the bottom, because it seems like there's less distance I have to cover. And this is the final stretch. There was a warp zone there we just missed, but that was intentional. I didn't want to take the warp zone. And that's it. That last part is usually what gives people a lot of trouble, but once you get a rhythm down, it's actually not that bad. Believe it or not, the Turbo Tunnels in Battle Maniacs for the Super Nintendo, basically the second Battletoads, like the official sequel to Battletoads, is a lot harder than the NES one. And I do have a long play of that game on my channel here. Not sure if I'll ever do a Let's Play on it. I probably will, actually. But I do have a long play of that game. Alright, so we got these snowmen here. I found out that you can just jump over them and just skip them completely, which makes this section go a good bit faster. And this ice block, you just kind of go past it. So I did learn a little bit from speedrunners in learning how to play through this game. So I do use some speedrun techniques, but I'm not a speedrunner. But I do like using some techniques to get through the game a little bit easier, or faster in some cases. But for the most part, I still just take it easy. Let's see if we can do this trick here. Bam, got it. So you can basically headbutt that ice block into here. and that's a checkpoint. This is where your baby jumping comes into play. See, kind of like that. And a lot of enemies in this game have very set patterns. So like this guy goes 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and it just repeats over and over. So you want to basically use that timing. So like this one goes low, then high, then low, and then high. The high one you have to duck. See. And this is Battletoads for you. This is what a lot of the game is like. Much of the game has very set patterns. So while a lot of people think, oh man, it's Battletoads, it's so freaking hard, it is hard. It's the kind of game that's meant for people with like high endurances, or people that are willing to try to endure a lot. You know, as they practice and practice the game, they get better and better through repeated playthroughs and so forth. That's what Battletoads is like. So it's not a game that really has a ton of randomization to it. And that is why Battletoads is really fun for me to play today, because it's not completely random. Hell, I think it even has less random elements in like Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts or something like that. And I messed up that part. I usually attack this part differently. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I learned this from a speedrunner. You can dash down here and just use your headbutt. I find that to be the easiest way to get through that part. There are people that do like a baby jump, but I find the baby jump is, like just the small jump, is much harder to pull off for me consistently. The only thing about the doing the headbutt off a hill is sometimes the game, like, you get stuck trying to do the headbutt off the hill, and it's really weird. There's also a shortcut I'm going to show you here, too. So once this wall disappears, you can either take the top way, which is the harder way, or you can just come back down like this. Which I really wish I knew about this as a kid. And then you have to control your jump in there. Normally you have to activate that platform up top, and it just falls down, and you have to jump over, because it disappears. So here's the surfing level. Let's see if we can do the Super Toad. Bam! Got it. So if you dash into it and jump at the right time, you fly up into the air, and it's just... I always get a laugh out of it. It's funny. I love little glitches like that in games. Battletoads got quite a few glitches. It's also got a few level skips. Not level skips, but like skips in levels where you can just like skip through half a stage through a glitch or something like that. So the speedrunners use that to their advantage. I haven't really been able to do any of those. I could do the one on the rat race. I've done it once or twice. But the other ones I've seen I have not been able to do, like the one in the tarot tubes, which is a level later on in the game. So these little Space Invaders guys, they basically take blocks of health from you, and you have to punch them to get your health back. And this is where we're going to be encountering pretty much our first boss fight. That's not sure. We did have a first boss fight. I forgot. Our second boss. So, when you break apart these stick guys, they drop another stick you can pick up, or basically the head of the stick guy, and you can destroy these. So if you destroy them with the headbutt, you get 2,000 points. If you use your stick to destroy them, you only get 750. So, you know, if you're trying to grind out your points, get as many points as possible, it's something to keep in mind. And I messed that up. I was dumb to get so close to him. Whenever you get to this fight, you drop the stick, and the stick is really important, and I'll show you why. And this is why. Whoops. Now, you don't have to do the jumping and attacking thing I was doing, but I find it sometimes easier to get into a rhythm of just hitting this guy over and over by doing the jumping thing. Just like that. So another occasion for the Super Toad, and can I get it? Got it. The only thing about it is you have to really watch where you're coming down from, or where you're gonna land. Okay, so once this starts speeding up just like this, the next jump's going to yield an extra life. and you want to kind of push forward on the jump to get that extra life. Just like that. And now these mines, I think, are actually randomized. There is no set pattern for these mines. I think in the Genesis version of the game, they are actually in a set pattern, and they're much easier to avoid, but in this game, they come at varying speeds. And here's also a trick here. Can I get it? Bam! You can actually kill yourself, but you don't lose a life. It's just, it's funny. It's one of those little things you can do in this game. Alright, so this is the Snake Pit, another relatively infamous level. It's very, very tricky. And here's another little trick you can do. It's just, there's a lot of little fun stuff you can do in this game, like headbutt. And then when you headbutt on the snake, you can just punch as you go up. There's a lot of little things like that in this game you can just kind of mess around with for fun. And that's the exit. So we basically have to do this like 5 or 6 times. That's another warp zone right there. So the warp zones are basically first level, third level, 5th level, and then that's it. Doing the one from the 5th level takes you to the elevator shaft. Wait, did I get that right? No, 6th level. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is the 6th level. This isn't the 5th level. And then apparently there's also one in the ice cave, from what somebody commented on in my Battletoads long play. I assume it's correct. Maybe they're wrong, they're just trolling me, I don't know. But I'm gonna take their word for it. Because I even think I vaguely remember seeing a warp zone in the ice cave back in the day. The thing is, you would never normally get to the warp zone in the ice cave because you'd get the warp zone in the turbo tunnel, which takes you past the ice cave. The ice cave used to be one of the hardest levels for me. Now it's not too bad, and I can get through it pretty consistently. So, like, I would always want to skip the ice cave. But now, I like to play through Battletoads from start to finish. I like going through every single level, you know, sort of experiencing what the game has to offer. You know, all that variety. That brutal variety. Alright, last one. There is a little bit of a skip here we can do. And we are going to be doing it, because the last section in this level is quite a pain. Actually, you know what? I'll see if I can take it the long way first, just to show you. That's the worst part right there. Trying to jump through that. So we're gonna take the skip. I figured I'd try. I was like, I've got enough extra lives and time. We can mess around a little bit. We've got the freedom to goof off. But yeah, to do the skip, you just kind of sit here and wait for the snake to come back up on the other side. And just like that. No dashing required. If you try to dash, you're probably just going to fall down and die. So we're on, yeah, level 7. So yeah, the snake pit was level 6. So the fire zone is pretty tricky. But what's interesting is these rats, you can just kill them instantly. Which is different from the turbo tunnels where you have to actually battle them out. I prefer to use the headbutt. It's just so much more responsive, in my opinion. And there's going to be a part here where you have to jump on some logs to get across the moat. or the water. I never get killed by these guys. Alright, so these guys you can just actually kill. I used to think that you had to avoid them, but they do pretty much kill you instantly, so you need to take them out quickly. After this, there's gonna be 4 of those little rat guys on rockets. Oh, I messed up. See, the headbutt is the way to go, typically. And I find that a lot of times, if I don't rely on the headbutt, I get punished for it. So the headbutt is your friend in this game. So we're back at another Turbo Tunnel style stage. Except this time, things just come out. So this level was a major pain for me at first because it was just sheer memorization. Fortunately, it is the type of level you can do one-handed, so if you're that kind of person, this level is for you. So there's going to be 2 extra lives throughout this these sections. So this section right here has 1 extra life. It's more towards the center of the screen. Just like that. One. So this section has the other extra life, and there's, on the 9th pattern, there's an extra life. So this is the 3rd pattern. And you'll notice I'm actually just sitting at the bottom. That's the 4th pattern. And that's a little trick. You can't do that on the top, but on the bottom you can just sit. It's at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the extra life will be at the top. Bam, just like that. So this is where the memorization is required. Up, down, down, up. Whoa! I almost messed up that last one. Forward. Back. Forward. See, total memorization. Now this one is interesting. You have to stay forward, preferably. And you'll see why at the very end. I messed that up. I thought... Yeah, I messed that up. I thought we were done. That's where the memorization comes into play, guys. Alright, now we're done. Go back, just like that. You have to be going backwards as you're going down if you want to get through that last gate. If you don't, then it's impossible. It's pretty much impossible. And that was extremely frustrating when I was learning how to play this game. So we're almost at another extra life. We've got 692,000 points. Oops. Oh, man. This is a level you really have to pay attention. If you don't, you get punished really quickly. So interesting little tidbit here, and I learned from doing my long plays, if you have the stick in hand, you can destroy a bunch of objects on this level you normally wouldn't be able to. And every time you destroy these with your head, you get 2,000 points. So you could grind out some extra lives if you really wanted to. It would be time consuming. There's an extra life up here, and the way I like to get it is to jump off this second spring and go over the top one. So I'd really like to hold on to this stick to show you a couple other things you can do on this level. But we'll see if that happens. So these guys right here, you can actually destroy them if you have the stick in hand. And that is something that I learned from you guys. Whoops! Not paying attention. It's something I learned from commenters on my original long play video. So, yeah, I actually learned something, you know, by posting that video. And it actually made my Battletoads game better than it was before, which is cool. And it just goes to show all the little intricacies the game has to offer. Lots of little nuances, which is really cool. So you don't want to get sucked in because you'll die instantly. And you don't want to touch the gas because you die instantly. Dying instantly is something that's... Ugh, I thought I could get through that. Dying instantly is something that is very, very common in Battletoads. So you need to be very careful. And towards the end of the game, it's almost like, well, why do I have a health bar again? It's one of those kinds of games. Fortunately, extra lives during the levels, they do respawn. So if you die at a part that has an extra life, you can just get the extra life over and over, which is nice. Alright, boss time. So the trick to this boss is to just juggle him and duck his shots. You gotta watch out because he can crush you in one hit. Oh, man. Bam, just like that. Crushes you in one hit. So I like to get, assuming it works, try to get the first hit with just a punch, and then use the headbutt afterwards. See, like that, and then headbutt him on the way down. And then that's it. That wasn't a great fight, but it's a lot better than what I dealt with when I first got to the boss, when I was learning how to play the game. Because I've had instances where I'd get to that guy with like 12 lives and just lose all of them. So these guys you can either just like headbutt, or you can try to push them up into the ceiling, which is the recommended way. It's a little bit safer. So you kind of just wait until they get close and then just start punching, and you automatically just do this. And you also get more points for it. You get 5,000 points, whereas I think you only get 2,000 if you headbutt. We never did verify that, and I meant to verify that. Unfortunately, you can't headbutt when you're in water, because you can't dash when you're in water. Alright, so this part you need to be dashing pretty much the entire time. And a little trick here you can do is you can actually dash on the water, which is another little detail I learned just from screwing around. When you punch in water, you also just sit in place, which is actually really useful, and in another part in this level, and I'll show you what I mean shortly. You want to get stylish, a headbutt will clear this jump. Just like that. I like to do it just because it looks cool. It's not necessary, but... Alright, so this is really tough, so we'll see what happens here. And this part's really challenging as well. In order to get over this jump, you have to sort of like rise up and then just hold down the jump button, and you do like a smaller jump. Otherwise, I can't get past that. If I jump from the top just normally, it doesn't work. And you just land into the spikes, which is really bad. Alright, come on, eel. Alright, whatever. Could be one of those explosive guys there. And we got these goldfish of death. These goldfish are a major pain. So ideally you want to do this section fast enough to where the goldfish don't appear. Oh, I messed that up. I went too far forward. See? The idea is to get to it right before the goldfish appears, and it makes that part so much easier. But we still have to deal with this part too, which is also a pain. There's gonna be an eel right here. I always just try to attack him, because the eels pretty much take away half your health. So you just really don't want to mess around with them. I'm at the point where anything's gonna kill me in one hit. Now we have these sharks here. And a lot of times I try to go for that extra life, but it's easier for me to just skip the extra life, because I have a tendency of basically getting hit by the sharks a lot. So this part's really tricky. But this is where the punching helps. Because normally you'd have to sort of like float up and down and hope that you don't get hit by the big wheel. But that's the punching in the water is a trick I learned that helps me out a little bit. So again, we're going to use it right here as well. Otherwise, you have to time it just like that, but I prefer to just sit and punch like that, because it keeps you in like a set spot. Some of the hitboxes are a little weird in this game, so you'll die even though it looks like you didn't actually get hit by anything. So that's why I like to, you know, take certain safety measures when I play through this game. I'm gonna jump over this guy. And the goldfish is back. Try to just take him out, because he'll actually come back and haunt you later on in this section. So this part you just want to go through as quickly as possible. But that's, again, where the memorization comes into play. You really have to memorize, otherwise you're probably not going to get through this section. I like to take the left way to get a... Oops! See? Just, one little screw up like that. That was my fault too. But this is a part where you can just do it over and over again infinitely, because there's an extra life there every time you start. See if we can do it with the goldfish running around. Probably not. We're gonna try to pass the goldfish. He's gonna knock us into some spikes. Probably what's gonna happen. See, there he is. And this part's interesting. You need to sort of like use the spinning background objects as a guide. You notice the little spinning discs or whatever, they pretty much tell you where the next spike is going to be. Alright, so this is the rat race. This is a pretty tough level. You gotta be really on point on this stage. There's also a boss on this level. So a way to get ahead of the rat, and if the rat gets to the bottom before you do, you die. So a way to get ahead of the rat is to headbutt him. Oops, shoot, I messed it up. We might not beat this now. A way to get ahead of the rat is to use the headbutt as he's coming down. Wow, we still got it. So if you manage to headbutt the rat, I think twice in a row, you have to headbutt him and then kick him off screen. You'll kill him basically, and just do a level skip. You'll beat the level instantly. But it's extremely difficult to do. So you can headbutt the rat, try to get ahead like that. And for me, I haven't found out another way to beat this level without headbutting the rat. I've never been able to beat it without sort of delaying the rat, if you know what I mean. And that's it. Now we go to the boss fight. So this guy, you can headbutt it first, and he basically turns around, and then you can just do a few normal hits. In the beginning, I like to get behind him and just hit him like this. Oops, you gotta watch out because he'll crush you. Crush you instantly if he lands underneath you. And then once he starts speeding up, you can just headbutt him. And your timing has to be perfect on the headbutt. And that's it. 2 more stages, guys. We're almost there. We've almost got a score maxed out, too. So, that means no more extra lives from points. And this is a really tricky stage. You have to be really on point in this level as well. So, on this level, you basically have to hold in the direction that you're moving. Otherwise, you slow down. And then you have to press in the direction you need to turn to right at, like, the right frame. Right at the right moment, basically. And if you start lagging behind, that dude catches up to you and kills you instantly. So this level is bound to hurt your thumb. It's already hurting mine. I've just started playing it. Ideally, you want to do this on your first try because of that factor. Like, it's not fun going through this level like 5 times when your thumb's starting to really, really hurt. Alright, so in this boss I just use headbutts. I just kind of do it like this at first. Just watch his movement and then headbutt him. Just like that. And then he starts jumping around. And I just wait until he's low on the screen and then headbutt again. Just like that. And on to the final stage. So this is a vertical level. You just go up and up and up. These little sticks here, you can hold on to them and then press down, and they give you an actual stick to attack with. You gotta watch out for these spiked balls that float around part of the stage. Pretty common thing early on in this level. So you gotta really watch out for them. These things are dropping platforms. So these little gold rhinos, they are a major pain. So what I like to do is attack them, and then wait for them to do their attack, and then attack when they're open like that. You gotta be careful on this level, because if your platforms go below the bottom of the screen, they disappear, and you'll fall to your death. So 1, 2, 1, just kind of back and forth with these gold rhinos. Oops. I actually find it easier to kill them with the headbutt, because your stick has to wind up a few frames, but the headbutt just comes out instantly. So if you can time your headbutt right, it's just, to me, it's the way to go. Alright, so you got these green clouds. This first one, you can actually just hit over and over with the stick. Later ones, you have to alternate. You have to hit them with the stick, and then wait for them to come down. Then hit them with the stick, and wait for them to come down. And you gotta be... Ugh! Well, I don't have to explain it now. These guys basically kill you in one hit. So, but just like the rhinos, it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You just go back and forth. So wait for their mouths to open, then close, then hit them. Open and close, then hit them. And just rinse and repeat. You know, that's Battletoads for you. A lot of Battletoads seems random and crazy, but it's actually not. It's very rhythmic. So if you're the kind of person that can get into a rhythm, like this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. He just always attacks in the same pattern. Granted, his little air bubbles or whatever can kill you in one hit, but that's besides the point. So this guy we have to hit on the way down, because we don't have a stick now. If you want to get fancy with it, you can try to hit him as he's coming down, like that. It's a lot harder to do it. Or you can wait until he swings around like this. The trying to hit him on the way down is less dangerous, though. It's harder to get it off because you have to kind of predict when he's going to be coming down. But it is less dangerous. Because if you miss your headbutt when he's like swirling around the pillar or the tower, it's, you know, you're more likely to miss and get hit. Whoa. Alright, I think we're almost at our next checkpoint. Alright, so this part, you kind of get blown off the tower. You have to grab onto these sticks or these poles. Otherwise, again, it's Battletoads. It's instant death. In this part, you need to jump up like that. And then this part, you need to jump up as quickly as you can the second they appear. Because that last one disappears. And it's really a pain. That's where the pure memorization comes into play. Okay, so this part right here, you don't want to jump until you're right underneath those poles. Because the second you push the screen off, this guy comes out and tries to blow you off. I messed up there. I double tapped by accident. And that was just complete accident. So the controls in this game can be a little twitchy. You have to be really careful about how quickly and how often you press that D-pad. Oh, I always forget about this green dude here. So again, when you have the stick, you can alternate back and forth. Well, it looks like this guy you can just hit over and over. Some of the other ones we encountered, you have to do stick and then headbutt, and stick, then headbutt. Because the stick won't register for a couple of hits after... Or it won't register after the first hit you do. You have to alternate every hit in order for the stick to count on that, the green cloud. Alright, so this one's a little tricky. Oh, we mistimed it. See, I usually don't mistime these, you know, these jumps and falls and whatnot. But as you can see, you know, if you do, you get punished for it. Because the checkpoints are kind of few and far between. And I'm not sure how many lives we have left. So, I mean, that's another issue. I know we have at least 5. But aside from that, I don't know how many lives we have left. Unfortunately, Battletoads doesn't keep a numerical counter. It does remember how many lives you have left. It just doesn't tell you how many you have left. Got it. Alright, last section. So I like to wait for this cloud to get to the right of me, and then just bolt my way up. And last section. There's gonna be a disappearing platform up here, or falling platform, sorry. Oh, that was close. And then it's the final boss time. I just use my headbutt over and over. When she goes into her tornado mode, I just kind of avoid. Or slide across the ground like an idiot. Because that's fun too. Another little trick you can do in this game. You're like, oh yeah, slide across that screen. Dude, just like jig along to the music. Ding. And the great thing about Battletoads is you can totally just screw off and feel like an idiot when you play the game. And like his mouth is gaping wide open. He's like, yeah, I'm loving this! Oh, I love Battletoads. It's so frustrating, but it's fun at the same time. It's kind of a weird combination that strangely works for me. might not work for a lot of people, but now we've got so many lives here, I don't really care what happens. Fortunately, if you get a game over at the final boss and you have continues left, you do actually continue at the final boss. Which is like, it's pretty much the only point in the entire game where you actually start back off at a boss, I am pretty sure. And that's it. The queen's gonna come back up from the bottom and can kill you again, so you have to watch out for that. Oh look, we only have 4 lives left. So we were finally starting to deplete lives. And that's it, guys. That's Battletoads from start to finish on the NES. So it's not a terribly long ending, although I should note it is a lot longer than the Genesis ending. So if you think this ending's short, play the Genesis version. Yeah, that version is just a total slap to your face when it comes to the ending. Like, I actually beat the Genesis version for the first time before I beat the NES version, and I was like, what? What just happened? The ending was so bad. Yeah, that's Battletoads with the NES, guys. Not the greatest playthrough, but hey, we did it without continuing, and that's what counts. So, if you guys want to check out probably a better run of the game, I have a long play. I also have I also have a long play of Battle Maniacs, the follow-up to this game on the Super Nintendo, which is actually even more difficult in certain cases. Battle Maniacs is quite a challenging game, although it's not as long of a game. Well, I think it's probably about the same length, but it has less actual meaningful stages than the original Battletoads, so it's less to memorize, basically. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. We've got a lot of Let's Plays like this on the channel. Major back catalog you can sort your way through if you want. And for everybody else that is already subbed, thank you as usual. Thanks for your continued support, and I'll catch you guys soon on the next video. So, until then, take it easy.